It pulls you in and doesn't let go.
Okay, hello. Welcome back to the Carousel. We have today with us a very special guest, Seneca Scott. Welcome.
Peace. Happy to be here.
So you are a Oakland organizer, activist, and I was saying I read a piece of yours in Compact magazine that I highly suggest everybody read. Very simple, short piece, Black Oaklanders' Political Revolution, but it is like reading parts of the internet. The last place you would expect these type of ideas to be is coming from a leader from Oakland, and you're pretty much saying something that I think many people have been trying to say for a very long time, which is there's a sort of great hypocrisy in the mainstream media narrative surrounding these places, which seem like places like Oakland, which seem to want them to stay bad, kind of. Is that like, that seems like that's kind of your perspective. And you go through in this article, you're calling out NGOs like Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller foundations, and you're calling out the media complex. One word that I love that you use is the gentry progressive media outlets, which I think is a great word. So describe, this was through the lens of a recent recall that was successful, I believe, for the mayor of Oakland. So can you just describe what it's like on the ground in Oakland these days, and how did you rise to being a leader of the actual people who live there?
Oh, well, okay, you got to tell me which question to answer first.
Sorry, that was a lot of questions. That was just an intro. So, how did you become an activist? Let's start with that.
Well, that's a great question. So I began organizing in college. I went to Cornell University. My pen is cut off with my camera. Well, I class in 2001, School of Industrial Labor and Relations. And I was one of the few people who actually went into the U.S. labor movement while even in college. I was interning in California. And I started off being an activist, an organizer and an activist. My motivation was always simply, I don't like bullies. I'm hearing impaired, severely hearing impaired, or half deaf, is simply put. And until I was like on the school bus in middle school, or maybe not middle school, like fourth grade, I was great. All my friends loved me. I was popular. I never knew anything was wrong with me. You get in that fucking school bus and the bullies are there and they pounce on the kid with the glasses and the hearing aid and the speech impediment. And I didn't care about that. That had me confused because I'm like, what the fuck is this person's problem? What hurt me was my own friends turning on me because they were worried about being, of course, it's only natural, right? But by the grace of God, at 13 years old, I grew to pretty much the size I am right now. Not as fat, of course, but I was pretty big kid. 13 years old, being 5'9", 145 was a big 13-year-old. And I excelled in sports. I played two sports at Cornell, football and track. And I got to fuck some bullies up. So I would beat up the bullies. No bully zone over here. And then the same thing happened as there's a quote in a book that I love. It's called A Dubious Battle, which I feel like I'm in out here in Oakland. Steinbeck book, great book. And it says, I have a skill in helping men, and that's sort of what I feel. I've always been a good organizer. I've always been able to help people help themselves. Good organizers don't create followers. They create more leaders and people who have agency themselves, who are operating of true and free will. And to answer your first question, when it comes to Oakland, it's not politics. You're looking at, it's not public service, it's profiteering. They don't want these problems to get better. They've monetized them. And not only have they monetized them, they get the best of both worlds. they have a political ideology that wants death to America, very much like, you know, the jihad. It's an American jihad. They want to recreate this theoretical system of equity where they get to be in charge and no one will ever bully them again because most of them are deeply wounded people who are not doing it for anyone but themselves. And and you have foreign adversaries who pounce on that. And they usually these people as useful idiots. But it goes far back farther than that. If you look at the book, The Year of the Rat, that talks about how Bill Clinton's administration sold out to China.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
it's got many levels to it. But basically what you're seeing, all that color revolution and Marxism stuff that people are getting their friends and twist about, it is, but it isn't. It is in the sense that the useful idiots think that's what they're doing. But none of this has anything to do with people. That's why it's not working and connecting to actually bring up any true populist uprising of the working class. It's mostly old boomers and children of those old affluent boomers. And so it's not really connecting. They connected a little bit in the pandemic because they put the okie doke. But I can tell you, black people, we leaning back. What did Fat Joe say? Lean back. When nobody, you don't see no black people with that shit. We're not fucking with politics right now. Black people in America. They can try to use us, but the average black person kind of like tapping out, and that's not a good thing. But there is a sort of demoralization and apathy, especially amongst people who follow the Democratic Party, like myself, who are just like, what the heck happened? That's why you see so many people in the MAGA camp who are former Bernie bros or people who voted for. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. You have district that voted solidly for Obama twice, that then voted for Trump twice, and for Republican after that. And so to see this realignment happening before our eyes is very. I think we're very blessed to be in such a transitory period. If you want to be a glass half full kind of person. But anyway, that's why I started organizing. I was with the union. I took a sabbatical in 2014. I was kind of burnt out. I moved to Oakland for a time. I'm an organizer, so what do? Start community gardens and festivals and start bringing people together to have fun. And Oakland was really, really good city. All the way, I mean, we were on the up and up. The Dubs were champions with the dynasty, the Golden State Warriors. The A's were in the playoffs. We still had two teams that were doing well. It was safe. We went a summer without a murder in 2018.
Wow.
I mean, crime was plummeting. Property values were skyrocketing, and it looked like we were finally poised to turn a corner. And then the Saudis took over. In the mid 2000s, teens is when they made their move. And I mean, this is just so I am writing a book about this, and I could literally talk nonstop for 3 straight hours. So you may want to get a question in there. But I became a community organizer. How I got into politics, which I thought I would never ever do. When I worked with the unions, every time it was political stuff, I would tell that side of the house, "Hey, that's y'all. Tell me where to have the members at, and I'll do it." If there's a COPE quota, COPE is the Political Action Committee for Unions. I don't know if most people know this. You cannot use union dues for politics. You have to have a separate voluntary PAC that members pay into. You also can't use. You have to itemize any time spent as a union staffer doing political work. It's itemized accordingly, and that is deducted from the dues formula for people who want to opt out for fair share. And so it's very regular. Not that they don't cheat, but it's attempt to regulate it. And so that would be the extent of my job. If you want like 10% of bargaining units in my purview to pay COPE, I'll achieve that goal and make sure we run that part. But in terms of what they do politically, I never cared about. The first time I ever voted, I'm 46 as of a few weeks ago. The first time I ever voted was for myself in 2020. I was a political operative, union leader, and all of that, and never registered. Because that was one part of my life, and the other half of my life, I sold cannabis, I sold weed, and I mean like a lot of weed. And so, like, I'm a full-blown lefty rebel, watching over for the cops, fuck the police, like death to America. Like, America's fucked up country. We do all this fucked up genocide around the world and caught up in that really super hard, radical far left. And you know what? The people who are legitimately that, I actually don't have a fundamental problem with them. It's the fucking fake people. Yeah. The real, like, hardcore anarchists, we can have some middle ground here.
Yeah,
Because
right. Well, yeah,
there's something wrong in America when you have a Federal Reserve that can print money and be
sure.
the buyer and lender of last resort. There should be a revolution in America right now of the working class. So they like we can agree with a lot there in terms of like me being a radical. I'm a radical, but now
Yeah,
it's radical to just want public safety. It's
right.
radical to want your children to know how to read now again. It's
Yeah,
radical to want people to not be slaves to some whatever weirdo shit they're cooking up for. Um, that's radical now. Like being normal is radical in a
right.
time of like societal collapse. So I'm on the same shit I've been on, bro. The shit just changed, it realigned, and now we have unlikely allies I thought that I would never have,
Totally.
and we're sharing perspective with people who previously didn't share perspective. That's the silver lining in here. People right now are sharing perspective with people like if all the few percentage of us who were like, hey, forcing people to take vaccines and stuff is bad. And the fact that the number one vaccine hesitant population was Black Americans
Right. Yeah.
creates
Yeah.
now a natural overlap for
Yeah,
some
it's a
serious shit.
horseshoe, right? That's why they call it horseshoe theory, and it's like at the bottom, right? And I think people in my shoes, I'm one of these Bernie bro then turned Trump people. That's totally me, and the left, the people forget the biggest anti-globalists used to be the left. It used to be the black bloc protester people like protesting the G8 in Seattle, like like lighting stuff on fire. That used to be the left's number one thing. And like I have total respect for them. I'm like, hey, those guys were awesome. Like what happened to that? Like where did those people go? So yeah, I totally see the same thing with this kind of like horseshoe, especially now. Like right now, it really does seem like it's primed for that because it's like,
But
yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
no, go. I mean, some people, what happened to them? That's a good question because so some of them were, I won't say bullied. Some of them chose to stay out of it because it comes at considerable cost to maybe your livelihood or your personal relationship. So they just went silent, became part of a silent majority. And because of emerging voter fraud, we're learning that the silent majority may have been cheated out of several elections with the
Right.
work that Shiloh Marks is doing, who I'm interviewing Friday, by the way. Um, and then there's also many of them became the useful idiots. I have many friends who used to be so radical who now bootlick for the state. And
Yeah.
some of them I've been kind of reaching. I'm like, hey, like look at this wall behind me. Look at all the people who you guys cosplay as, who you say we're acting like these Black Panthers or we're acting like these revolutionaries. How many of them work for the government?
So
And
what
how do you?
happened to those people? Like why were you smart enough and had the integrity enough to see this, whereas so many of these other people don't see it? Just money. It's just money.
No, good
You're,
point. I don't think I'm. I would like to think that I'm smarter and better than other people, but I just be completely honest with you. Here's what I think happened. Upton Sinclair has a great quote. It is hard for a man to see something when his salary depends on him
yeah,
not seeing it.
right. Yeah.
And so since I was untethered, my salary during
Mm,
2020 and during it, I didn't make my money from a labor movement anymore after 2014. I made my money from whatever business ventures I was in, and mainly from selling weed. And so it's like I'm free. I don't have to get money over there. So my perspective is different in how I'm approaching. At the same time, I had my own vision and awakening in 2018 spring, where I literally went to sleep all day for like a whole day and had a week out of body experience where I was in a grid down scenario. Prior
whoa.
to, I had no firearms, no food storage. I wasn't a prepper. I was super hippie, live for the day, be present, bro, do my shrooms and party on and just having a great hedonistic life. And then after that vision, I grew up Christian, but we discovered my faith. That wasn't a dream. That was a gift.
What
And
was it? What
it's,
was the vision?
whew, I'm gonna try to to I don't want to.
No,
Oh,
dude.
another
Hey,
time.
we got another hour and 15 minutes, so you take your
All
time.
right. So in April of 2018, and I will try to tell the story in 15 minutes because it's three parts to it. I went to sleep like any other day, 10 o'clock, 10:30. I normally wake up at 7:30. sometimes 6:30. I sleep 8 or 9 hours. Good for your immune system. Get good sleep. And I woke up at like 8 something the next day, p.m. So I slept like 22 hours. And I woke up in my own urine. I went to bed and I was in a ball like shivering. And for some whatever reason, my housemates just let me sleep all day. I'm not sure why, but anyway, that's another story. In that vision, I had a week where I was chilling at a cafe with my friend outside, having a good time. One thing about this vision, you know, you have dreams and it's like everything's like my life, but I was at home, or like something's off. No, everything
Yeah.
was identical. This wasn't a dream. This happened to me. It
Wow.
happened to me. But it's like Kindred, the book Kindred by Octavia Butler, or any sci-fi book where someone goes back in the past or future and experiences a lifetime in a one night type of shit, right?
Yeah.
And so all the
Inception. What
cars,
happens in Inception?
yeah.
Yeah.
So all the cars just stopped, but all the power went off. Our phone stopped working, right?
Whoa.
Like they didn't work. Not like they didn't connect to the internet. They didn't work. They were dead. Now keep in mind, I don't know anything at this point. This is going to be important to pay attention to. A couple of vehicles that were still moving were like two-stroke bikes. It's like simple like bike. A lot of people like, you know, the biker gangs around here. Oh, there's a lot of those bikes around, like dirt bike.
Yeah.
A couple old cars were still running. Like I think I saw like a couple of vehicles moving, and a lot of people ride bikes. So people, of course, their bikes were fine, and the stoplights were out, and everybody's like, "Yo, what the fuck just happened?" It's like an earthquake happened, but it didn't happen. It was an electronic earthquake.
It was an electro blast, magnetic blast of some kind.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Anything.
You didn't know what it was. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know any of this shit.
Yeah.
So I walk home about 30 minutes, like a mile and a half, 2 miles from home, and I get home, and I'm waiting. My girlfriend's school is across town, across the city, and so that was the first maybe like 7 hours, just going home, waiting, and just like she knows where she lives. She's from LA, but she used to be with enough people to know a neighborhood. We're in an iconic neighborhood. Like she could walk and like, you're talking 15 miles. So you're talking like it took her like 10 hours to get home. And so she ended up with a group of people who are migrating to that neighborhood because everybody's reshuffled around the city. And so people are walking, and so bikes or whatever, and they're like end up with people who are going back to their part of the city. And so she finally gets back. Water's not running. It's fucking Mad Max, bro. The first day was just weird. Everybody trying to figure it out. The people who were smart were already marauding or taking stuff from the store. By the time I figured out that like something was going on and we got a radio and they were like, hey, go get some food. The government was like, go get some food and shit. So we go to the grocery store, the shit's cleaned out. And so like I'm trying to figure out, I go to like places where I know this, but we have a community garden over here. So I'm like, we'll be fine. I have a garden. You know how many calories you need?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you can't live on the carrots from an urban garden. It's not enough.
But guess what? Guess what? We can live up. We had a lot of chickens and eggs.
Yeah.
But by the second night, they were stolen.
Oh wow. Okay. Damn, this is crazy. This is a crazy vision.
There's 3 days to anarchy. I lived through a grid down scenario.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fast forward and not tell the whole story.
No. Tell it. It's fine. I'm fascinated.
It's too long. It's too long and it's kind of traumatic.
Okay.
I had to watch my loved one of my life raped and murdered.
Oh my God. So you were really. This is like truly Mad Max.
Like it's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. Like.
Damn.
And so I come out of this and I'm like, the fuck just happened? Like, I thought I was dead. I was like, did I die? I thought I was in hell. Like, my first thought was, oh shit, my mom was right, my dad was right. I fucking died and went to hell. Right? Like, that was the first thought in my mind.
Holy shit.
And then I was like, okay, if I call my mom and she's there, then I'm not in hell. So I called her. And she was like, are you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. And so I got back, right, with, we discovered my own faith and realized that that was a gift. So check this out. I started becoming an overnight prepper.
Yeah, I
And I
noticed
and I
that a lot of your stuff. You have this PDF called "The Militant Farmer" and stuff.
I
So I was
just put
wondering
that
where all
out.
that
I
came
just
from.
put that out.
Yeah,
So that's what. So in 2018, I went from but I used to shoot competitively. Back when I was in high school, I used to think I was going to be a Navy SEAL when I was deaf. But I had Navy ROTC. I went to basics out of high school. I got permission. I didn't have to go to basics. I was a fucking non-commissioned officer with ROTC, but I permission to go to basics because I wanted to be a combat officer and I didn't want people being like, with the boot camp and that bullshit. So I went to basics. I went to college after that, and they kicked me out of medical discharge when they found out I was hiding it. Thank God, because most of my friends are dead who were on that parallel path.
Wow.
And even people who lived through the war, some of them didn't kill themselves. Like every couple hours, special operative combat vet, kills himself.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky that I didn't have to do that crazy stuff. But I was proficient in the pew-pews. And so I got back on a horse. I went from no gun to all the guns. Training and shit. My friends thought I was crazy. I started stockpiling food. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm like fucking Noah, bro. I got the ark. I'm building a fucking ark.
And wait, and it's all from the way. This is before the dream or after, or not the dream. Sorry,
after
the vision. This is after the vision.
After the vision.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. So then I read about the Carrington event. Are you familiar?
No, wait. What's that?
You got to bring up the Carrington event for your viewers. You got to share.
Carrington? How do you spell this?
Carrington. Carrington.
Carrington.
CARRA. It'll come up.
Carrington event? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the Carrington event of 1859. Okay, all right. Wait,
read that. I don't know if you can share your screen. If you can
yeah, we can.
live.
We can. Yeah, here we go. Yeah,
read that.
Yeah,
read that out loud. I've been talking for a while. You can read that.
All right, the Carrington event.
I'm gonna get some water.
Go ahead.
For
sure. Yeah, go for it. The Carrington event was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history, peaking on the 1st and 2nd of December 1859 during solar cycle 10. It created strong auroral displays that were reported globally and caused sparking and even fires in telegraph stations. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a coronal mass ejection from Sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. The geomagnetic storm was associated with a very bright solar flare and observed by this guy named Carrington. That's why it's called that. So yeah, it's like a huge geomagnetic storm, kind of, right?
Now check it out.
Wow.
And I'll have another thing to share in a minute. You can get rid of that one for now.
Okay.
So check this out. If that were to happen today, one calendar year after that event, 90% of Americans are dead.
Right. Yeah. What's this called? There's some word for this. It's like there's like in the cities there's like 2 days of resources, and it's like they're done after 2 days. Like they're done.
3 days to anarchy. 3 days to anarchy.
3 days to anarchy. Right. Yeah,
I experienced that firsthand.
Wow.
And so check this out. Now we're moving to a super energy intense with the data centers and having to be. We have to build nuclear reactors. Because every time you tell AI thank you, another village in Africa loses its power or some dumb shit, or whatever they say. Point is, it's extremely energy intense to run these data centers. We know that this event is cyclical. Not cyclical, that's the wrong word. We know that this event is frequent. Mm-hmm. By frequent, I mean with history being millions of years old, this type of event happens every couple hundred years. Mm-hmm. We also don't know when the last one was prior to 1859 because the only way we knew is we had electricity.
Right. Because how would you even tell before that?
The northern. Here's how you tell. You look for writings that people were seeing northern lights and
in weird places, in like different places. Yeah.
And you can sort of maybe piece it together. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But the point is this. I want you to bring up something else. In December of 2018, the Department of Homeland Security put out a notice to all Americans that they need to have at least 3 months worth of food and water in case of a grid down scenario. Pull up Department of Homeland Security grid down scenario report 2018. Bring that up on the screen.
Okay.
This is when I realized, holy crap, I was right. I was right. Everything that's in this report, I experienced.
Okay, here we go. So we got Energy Department details gaps in capability to mitigate effects of cyber attacks. Wait, is this it or is this a different thing?
Scroll up. That may be a different one. Is that 2018?
This is like some.
No.
This is some other thing. Yeah, this is some other thing.
No.
Yeah. So hold on.
DHS,
DHS grid down report.
That's weird. It's
Oh, is this it? U.S. unprepared for catastrophic.
Yes,
U.S. unprepared. Yeah, okay, here it is. Yeah, all right. The U.S. utility sector has been focused on cybersecurity for several years now. Blah, 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 blah. This year, they're funding research for GridX to, in the face of enhancements. Okay, recent survey found half power in the utility think a cyber attack is coming. The council examines ability to recover from an outage.
Click that. Surviving a catastrophic. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Oh, page not found. Oh, it's been taken down. Oh, look. See, it says page not found. What do you click? They got us. They saw us coming.
Well, anyway, before it was taken down, I read that report, and that report was exactly what I had experienced.
Yeah. Whoa.
And then I furthered my resolve to be a doomer, optimist, prepper, and prepare. And then I noticed that the elites, and this is the segue here, right? The COVID. This is what's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start doing the prepper YouTube rabbit hole, it pushes you toward financial preparedness and gold and financial markets. And next thing I know, I'm in a rabbit hole of the Federal Reserve prints money type of stuff that people fall down. And then it was eye-opening because also here's what happened. I realized in December, a lot happened in December 2018. So I realized now we're going to switch to modern monetary theory. We're going to make it all connect, don't you worry. And so I realized that the Federal Reserve prints money. Modern monetary theory, the way that they fixed the Great Recession was to print a whole bunch of money. And that eventually it would crash and burn. And that it was hard for them to raise interest rates. They're claiming that we have this great economy, but interest rates have been basically zero for a decade. In December 2018, the Federal Reserve tried to raise the interest rates by a quarter basis point and the markets collapsed. And that was the first time things went right. Here's another one. 2019, September. Every single U.S. bank crashed and collapsed. Did you know that we experienced a widespread unofficial bank collapse in September of 2019? No. If you didn't, bring up for your readers overnight repo market madness. Well, let's have another education. Repo market
madness.
And I'll explain what the repo markets are. And we're not talking about poor people.
Repo market madness may not have been a one-time thing. Now, what overnight, September 2019. Okay, I see. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. I like this. I feel like Joe Rogan. This is fun. We're like getting on these charts and stuff. This is great. Okay, so here. What is this? What is the repo?
Read the first one.
Okay. On September 17th, 2019, interest rates on overnight repurchase agreements or repos, which are short-term loans between financial institutions, experience a sudden and unexpected spike. Weird. On overnight repurchase agreements, or short-term loans between, that's basically what the Fed rate is. It's like the overnight lending rate. So that's weird that this is overnight shit. So a measure of the interest rate on overnight repos in the United States, secured overnight financing rate, increased from blah, 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 from 2.43 on September 16th to 5.25 on September 17th. During the trading day, interest rates reached as high as 10%. The activity affected interest rates on unsecured loans between financial institutions and the effective federal rate funds rate, which serves as a measure for interest rates. Okay, so what?
Okay, all right. You can take this down, and I'll explain it. People can.
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
So here's what happened. the repo market is simple. When you don't have the FDIC minimums, you got to go borrow it from someone else because you have to have that. That is financial regulation. They got rid of those regulations quietly after COVID, by the way. We can talk about that later. But you don't have that, your bank collapsed. You can get rid of the screen, it's fine. I don't want anybody stuck there. And so and I'm gonna give you some context. The last time we saw someone, so the interest rates are low, like 2.5%, 3%.
Yeah,
Top
then it
3%.
doubles to 5. It goes to 5. Yeah.
Bro, when Lehman Brothers collapsed, they collapsed because no one would give them a repo loan. So Lehman Brothers was tapping. They was tapping overnight repos consistently in 2007, 2008. And then the interest rates went from 2.5 to 3 to 4. And then other institutions said, nah, we good. Y'all insolvent. The Federal Reserve was like, nah, we're not going to bail you out. And they let them crash. And they went under. They went under because they lent out all the money. The banks only have to legally keep 10% of your money anyway. And so they lent it all out. They fucked it up. They overspeculated. And then they crashed. Fast forward to 2019, every single U.S. bank, Bank of America, Citibank, you name them, every major financial institution in America was experiencing the exact same thing. But when they went to ask each other for money, there's no liquidity. When they went to ask each other for money, they couldn't give it to each other. And so the Federal Reserve starts lending it out, printing $50 billion a day, but every single day for like a year. So the Fed printed more money in 1 year than they printed the entire existence of America, damn near. Since they were formed, right, to keep our financial markets afloat. There's some genius here because I thought there was no way they're going to be able to raise interest rates. They did. The Federal Reserve is actually some magician. There's some evil fucking magician, but it's going to still crash one day. You're looking at it, but
it does have to crash one day, but it seems totally fake to me. It seems like it can't crash.
It is. It's everything can crash.
Well, I mean, something will cause it, but my theory is that there's too few market participants. That's my thing. Did you see there was a thing? Here's my conspiracy theory. Did you see like 3 years ago, an Asian guy went to jail for insider trading? And it was like a kind of minor story, but it was on like the front page of Wall Street Journal because it was important, but it wasn't like that important. And I read about it, and he went to jail because somehow using index funds and passive traders and blah, 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 he started to be able to control, just him, 60% of the shares of a given stock in any market, right? And he went to jail for it. But you got to think, if that's one guy that went to jail for being able to control 60% of a blue chip stock, how often is that happening? And that would explain, and you look at the actual stock portfolios, now it's like Vanguard owns 7%. BlackRock owns 13%. There's so few market participants now since the rise of these index funds. It seems like the market can't crash because too few people control the shares. Anyway, that's my
it will crash is what you're seeing now. You would just end up with either stagflation, hyperinflation, bail-in, and you're seeing those cracks start to emerge now in the financial system. Get bigger, not emerge. Get widen. But the reason I think financial stuff is important is because in 2019, I'm like, okay, everything's happening. I'm following it all. I'm down the rabbit hole on all the bad doomer scrolling. And then the pandemic hits. And I'm like, oh shit, this is it. They're going to set it off. I was clocking the Wuhan shit and all that from top. Some of us, people who were like Dr. Chris Martinson, other people, Robert Malone, other people, like I was in the flow with those guys from top. Because Dr. Chris Martinson came from Peak Prosperity Financial Blog and ended up becoming one of the top experts because he's just got an analytical brain and ability to kind of see through the bullshit and break stuff down, which is kind of cool. And they ended up being literally right about everything.
Yeah.
And so I saw COVID through the eyes of financial markets. They didn't want to crash the system. They needed to crash land it, and they didn't want to panic. They actually did a really good job of raising interest rates back up and crash landing it and rebuilding the thing again. But to your point, it's fake. Anyway, I don't want to get down. It's not a financial show, but
yeah, it's all right. We can talk about it.
It's anyway. But in terms of like, how does that play into politics? if you think that we're going to have a blackout and everybody's going to die, why don't I just go live in the woods?
Yeah.
Because that could be 100 years from now. I could be dead for all you know. It's not cyclical, like I said. We do know that there's advanced solar activity with greater frequency, and there have been some watches for destabilization of grid and infrastructure, even piecemeal in places where the activity is greater. But in terms of like, if this happens, it's pretty much a mass extinction event. That's what you prepare for, and you don't think about it. You prepare, not scared. So you should be prepared to outlive the people next to you, and then maybe if you want to continue living in a world that we're starting over, we know how electricity works. There's enough solar around if we jig the stuff back up and go back to the hard drives we have, and we don't need the internet to access certain things. It's like, there'll be enough knowledge stored that we can have a continuity. But I don't think about that because why? I don't care. It's just too advanced to me. I just got my guns and my ammo and my water and my food. And you should too. You should have your guns, your ammo, your water, and your food, and your bug out spots and all the things. And you should do that.
I
But
got
in
some
the
of that
city,
stuff.
yeah, hopefully you do.
Yeah,
But in the cities, we are absolutely going through we don't need the grid to go down and collapse our city. Our children are not eating healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
They can't read anymore. Do you understand the dangers of not reading and writing?
Right. Yeah.
The brain neurons that fire, like all of us, how old are you? Mid-30s?
I'm 40. Just turned 40.
I'm 46.
Sucks.
So you're with me.
Yeah.
40
Yeah.
plus. We all had to, remember when we were in school, we had to read a bunch of books, come up with an original idea, compare sources, and write about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know they can't do that anymore, right?
Yeah, right. I have heard that. They can't do that. Yeah, right.
They can't do that shit no more, bro.
Well,
Talk to a
wait.
teacher.
So are you saying though? So you had this vision. Why do you think you had this vision? Did this vision cause you to sort of defect from the whole union thing you were doing and like start looking at things?
No. That had nothing to do with politics.
Okay,
I wouldn't even. I probably was even more anarchist at that point.
Yeah.
What got me politically is, and I know a lot of people make assumptions because if you spend all your time bashing the woke, people think by default in a binary system. But I'm post-partisan. I don't do left right. I go up down. Even you have integrity or you don't. Even you're a leader or you're not. What I saw was the fact that So I ran for office. Good story. Good segue. Old people came to me. The elders of my neighborhood came to my community garden and said, Seneca, you're so smart. You have all these ideas. And you're so good at solving problems. Our council district sucks. And you should run for city council. And I'm like, huh? At the same time, my friend who works for SCIU 1021, the executive director of my former union, the most powerful union in the Bay Area, I was the East Bay director. My best friend Cornell was the executive director, or former best friend. And he called me up that December and said, Seneca, you should run for office. We'll back you. Easy. Everybody hates the person who's there. She's a fuck up. You're pro-union and unions like you. We'll back you. And like you'll win. You could be like the city council person. And I looked it up and I saw what they paid. And it was like $110,000. I'm like, well, I sell drugs, bro. Like,
Fuck
that. I want to go to meetings and deal with bullshit. And like, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. So they went and got Carol. They went and got the activist Carol Fife. And originally they wanted me to run because I had a lot of community equity. I had beloved brands and I was a very well-liked and respected community leader. And they knew I knew how to negotiate contracts. I would be a lock. I would say whatever the unions wanted, I would give them. And they were right. I would have been that. But I don't like politics. So I didn't see myself doing it. And I didn't see any way I didn't care about the fucking community. I'm a hedonist.
Yeah.
At the time. Like even in the faith, I was a hedonist, right? I didn't see that as mutually exclusive to be in my responsibility is to protect my neighbors.
Yeah.
Right. And live a godly life myself. I don't have a godly responsibility to save the fucking world or be political. Right.
Yeah.
And so and There's nothing in the big commandment about get in politics, my son. So,
Yeah.
but the old people in May were like, Seneca, you got to run.
Yeah.
And this is the pandemic now. The deadline was August. So in May, they started bombarding me. You got to run, you got to run, you got to run. You're going to regret not running. You have all this community equity. What's your next move, Seneca? What are you doing with all of this energy you have when everybody likes you? You could be the mayor of Oakland one day. Remember, I'm a progressive. I'm very well liked. I've taken no controversial stances. Matter of fact, my house is known for places that we routinely have people move to Oakland and transition. I've had 2 people transition from women to male in my house.
Oh.
And I've been awarded awards from the queer community for providing safe spaces for the gay community. I never had that intention. I just don't like people being bullied. And come as you are, nobody should be bullied for being their true selves and authentic selves, right? I'm a woke. I'm a real woke, right? Like I don't care. Like why nobody gets bullied. I wasn't thinking about it that way, but I'm happy you feel safe. And if you want to live in this vacant room I have, and you're telling me your new name is this, then oh shit, I lost you.
I'm still here. I'm still here. My camera crashed. Hold on. Keep going. You can hear me, right?
Yeah,
no, it's back. It's back.
So who cares? Do your thing. I'll call you what you want to be called. It's not that deep for me, right?
Yeah,
like, and it never was. At the time, I didn't think of it as anything insidious.
Yeah.
At the time.
Right.
So I ran for office. I lost because I didn't have any money. But I pushed it hard and everybody liked me. You want to know something funny? Ro Khanna wrote me an email. I could pull it up if you want to show you.
Who is Ro Khanna again? He's like the senator or something. He's the
the
congressman from San Francisco or something.
He says, Seneca, you ran a great. I can't pull it. I just cell phone numbers on this. I'm not going to pull it up. But he said, Seneca, you ran a great campaign. You touched a lot of hearts. I lost my first 2 elections. I lost my first 3 elections. Obama lost his first 2. Keep going and call me anytime. Nice. I saw that and said, "Who the hell is Ro Khanna?" I ran for office. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. I'm back. I was still a progressive.
Yeah. Okay.
The person who won, who we have ranked choice voting, so you team up. The person who won, who I thought we were allies. I started asking her to do like regular shit, and she wouldn't do normal stuff. I started she wasn't an honest person. But here's the kicker. I went to shoot one day. I meet a guy shooting. This is parallel to, I'm going practicing with my guns. And I meet a guy, and he's like, hey, I heard that you was pretty pragmatic about the homeless and stuff. I thought some people, you may want to make some money. These people want to get rid of these homeless encampments, the developers. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of homeless encampments. I want to help people and stuff. He's like, it don't matter. You said that they shouldn't be there and we should follow the rules and provide housing for people. That's close enough. You want to get some money and start these organizations. And I thought, developers, I know. I can start my prepper nonprofit. I can convince these guys to have an alignment with my prepper nonprofit. So I created Neighbors Together Oakland, which was about community preparedness. And we have 4 pillars: local food systems, community safety, thriving local businesses, and accessible housing. Not affordable, accessible, because shelter is part of the hierarchy of needs. And it was meant to deconstruct the hierarchy of needs for community advocacy. It wasn't meant to be political. And since they were willing to provide funding, community safety is our thing. We don't think these people should be out there harming themselves. We're going to sue the city of Oakland to enforce the homeless policy that city council unanimously passed. So city council, the progressive city council, unanimously passed this policy. So we should be safe to just act and do what they said they're going to do, right?
and that's when you ran into like the homeless industrial complex, like people making money on it. Yeah.
The simple act of asking elected officials to be accountable for policies they passed led to the immediate reputation destruction.
Wow. Holy crap, dude. So you just ran face first into the NGO complex. You just like ran right into it. Damn.
Oh, right away.
That's crazy. That's a crazy story, dude.
Crazy, right away. Right?
That is a crazy story.
White, then I started saying these white people are crazy. I never said you're not going to virtue talking about black people shit and talking to me like that. You fucking racist white people.
Yeah.
And I got canceled for calling a white progressives racist.
Which I see you tweeting that, and I couldn't agree more.
I'm an early adapter. I've been doing that since 2020.
Yeah, these these ridiculous
It's
people.
ridiculous. So
Yeah,
nobody was
yeah.
doing that back then. I'm one of the first people in America on that shit.
Yeah.
Then I
yeah.
then I took a picture with Billboard Chris, which is the fucking not very smart. But I'm walking down Oakland First Friday. I see this guy with a gender ideology thing going. And all the gay people are mad at him. And so I go up to him to protect my community because I'm an ally. And I'm like, why are my queer friends upset about this guy? Let me go see what's up. And so I go to him and I'm like, but you pretty brave to be out here pissing off gay people in Oakland. This is a queer city. Don't come over here with that bullshit. And he's like, I don't have no problem with gay people. Do you even know what I'm talking about? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm an honest person. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, well, you know that they're letting kids take puberty blockers and all this stuff. And I was like, no, what's that? So he sat there and he gave me it. So I looked it up and I was like, by golly, that is happening. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, right? I can be nuanced, right? It's just like if you're going, like you think that parents, I mean, I'll take the picture. I agree with your position, bro. You won the debate. I would take a picture. Nah, bro, that shit was the dumbest shit I ever did in politics.
Well,
but the smartest thing I ever did on the law, they had ammo.
Yeah.
It wasn't about whether I like gay people or people transition in my house or I've been over and beyond an ally. One nuanced conversation was enough for them to weaponize. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that I was after accountability. And then I ran for mayor on a complete, I went independent. I ran for mayor on fucking fire and brimstone. And then the fucking whole legacy media and all of them. Because I was popular. After the first, here's what happened. After the first debate, not debate, we don't have debates. After the first forum, big one, big auditorium, international media, CNN, everybody. The first big election in mayor for Oakland in a while. I crushed it. Every local news station. I don't know. I can't say who won. But that Seneca Scott guy definitely won the crowd. And I fucking crushed that shit. The very next day, Seneca Scott charged with gun charges and all this shit. Right? Anything I'd ever done, they tried to smear me with the double-ended smear. Even though I was protecting my community garden with a legally owned firearm, not only beat the case, but had that firearm returned, a rarity in California. And even though they say we don't like police, we're supposed to police ourselves to protect our own community, and I follow all the rules the woke say they want you to follow, and didn't call the police, and handled it myself like they say they want you to, it doesn't matter. They found things to start to weaponize. And then because
you must terrify them, man. You must be their biggest fear because
I am. We call them.
Not only are you, not only you have this education and you have this sort of perspective, but you're also black. You are the nephew, cousin of MLK, nephew of Coretta Scott King. So that probably, they probably love that story. And you have the deaf thing. So you're like the perfect, like for the woke, like for that NGO complex, like you are like they would want nothing more in the world than you to like be their poster boy. You know what I mean? Like they would love that. So it probably drives them insane that you actually think for yourself and like have your own opinions, because a weaker person, I mean, not to ruin your day, but you could probably have like tens of millions of dollars right now. If you had sold out to them, like that would have been easy money by now, right?
No, you know what's crazy?
What?
No one ever approached me for a deal.
Really? Wow. Well, I mean, but I mean, maybe that's what running, like, do you think maybe you run and then you do this and then you go up?
I think they knew. I think they, like, I have a reputation. I work for 16 different labor unions.
Yeah.
And I quit a lot of unions. So when they asked people about Seneca, the first thing they got back was, whatever he's on, he's on that shit. You're not stopping that guy.
He's not. You're not going to convince him.
You're not going to convince him otherwise. You're not going to. You can't. Don't even. Matter of fact, he's going to expose you if you do that.
Yeah, dude. This is the problem I have. I'm the same way, and everybody always thinks that I'm going to like tell on them if they do something bad, and that creates problems because it's like right. Once you have the reputation of somebody who tells the truth, it's like that can work against you, like for sure.
It can work against you, but I would have made. I don't know about tens of millions of dollars, but if I just if I had decided to put on a MAGA hat and ride that black conservative wave,
you could have done that too.
Now,
you definitely could have done that too. Yeah, for sure.
That shit was. It was not that the black conservatives are corny.
Yeah.
But for me to do that when I don't believe in the
Yeah,
Republican
no, it's the
Party,
same thing.
it's
It's the
corny.
same thing the other way. And
Right?
right, and
Like
then
I'm
and then
not
you'd
doing
have
that
to do all
shit.
this other
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, no,
Nah.
not that it's the same. It's just
Nah.
like being that character would be the same, like for sure. If you they wanted you to like act like say this now, you know. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Damn, man. So that brings you to today. And so, yeah. So okay. So you ran for mayor. You had a
Well, that
great thing running
doesn't.
for
That brings
mayor.
us to the recall. That brings us to the
Okay. All
recall.
right. So yeah, tell us what
Well,
happened.
when I ran for mayor, I realized the person who won filed late. The unions covered it up. You know
This
what? I'm
is
going to read.
Thou. This is Thou. Whatever her
Let
name
me. Read,
is.
I'm going to read something for you right now. You get a sneak preview. This is the easiest thing for me to do because I'm going to give you a quick 3-minute rundown.
Yeah, go for it.
This is
Go
for
for
our new video series that Oakland, California is the most corrupt city in America. It's part one. The last mayor, Shing Tao, illegally seized power when her union funders falsified her candidate paperwork after she missed the deadline. A fact admitted to in court after watchdog lawsuits were too late to stop the election. I was the last person to illegally file. Tile won using dirty money from Oakland's corrupt recycling contractor, who she pressured to smear her political opponents and fund hundreds of thousands into a no-show job for her boyfriend.
Right.
In return, she handed them a $300 no-bid million-dollar contract. Once in office, she quickly fired a respected black police chief after she spent years on city council calling for defunding the police. Demoralized officers fled Oakland by the hundreds and crime exploded. Robberies surged by 38%, carjackings by 44%, and in 2023, Oakland led the nation in car deaths. Oakland has the worst
Unbelievable, dude.
911 response time in the state. Residents wait on hold for over 20 minutes, often told no police are available unless someone's dead. The city risks losing state funding if it doesn't improve. Even amid the escalating chaos, Mayor Tao enjoyed lavish perks from her recycling contract donors, including a luxury trip to Vietnam, complete with drugs and prostitutes. While there,
Damn,
while
Tyler,
there,
she's
she
going.
missed,
She's going all the
bro.
way. Yeah,
While,
what
while
the
there,
hell?
she missed the crucial state grant deadline, losing $15 million designated to fight retail theft. There goes that missed deadline again. Businesses fled. Hilton, Starbucks, Denny's, In-N-Out Burger closed down its first ever location after 20 straight days with robberies at the drive-thru and no police. 14 people were shot during Juneteenth celebration. Even the Oakland A's abandoned the city, with Tile's office claiming they won't be missed. When Tile's incompetence created a $177 million budget crisis, residents revolted, launching a historic recall. To trick voters, she faked the public sale of the city's most valuable asset, the Oakland Coliseum, to a shady nightclub promoter who never paid up. Then she held staff meetings where she directed City Councilwoman Carol Fife to use black people as tokens. This is in a leaked memo we're going to show on the screen to fight the vote to recall her. Right before voters ousted her, the FBI raided her properties and those of the corrupt recycling contractor. Charged with corruption, bribery, and conspiracy, Tile faces 95 years in federal prison.
Whoa.
Even after being recalled,
Unbelievable.
she brazenly continued casting illegal tie-breaking votes on council because her co-conspirators allowed it. Now, new Mayor Barbara Lee is repeating Tile's game. Same donors, exact same contractors, and the same political slogan, same corruption. This month, she's hosting private dinners and making the city's elite pay $100,000 if they want to buy political favor. And crime is still surging. Oakland, California is the most corrupt city in America. That's just it. I got like 6 stories like that out of like 100, I could tell you, probably. And every one of them has all the supporting fucking documents and all that shit that people like on the cheers, receipts, as the kids call it.
Yeah, I have the receipts.
The receipts. That's just the
Right.
tip of the iceberg of Oakland corruption. It's bad. It's bad here. And it's been that way for decades.
So how does this network, and this kind of leads into this no kings thing, because it's obviously the same group of people. So is it just complete corruption, and they're just going in there? Like, how does the wokeness interface with the corruption? Like, why are they so intimately tied?
Well, because the wokeness is manufactured.
Yeah, it's not real.
It is. I'm gonna give a history. Here's what a lot of people don't know about how the public sector labor unions became co-opted. So we talk about the NGOs a lot. Everybody's getting educated on the NGOs. But you may not know that the Chinese Progressive Association, which is headquartered in San Francisco, fiscally sponsors over 50,000 nonprofits that do base building around the country. This is the CCP link. And those nonprofits they fiscally sponsor, they don't have to file 990s. And so it's hard to find their money and how much they get and how much they spend. And they're not supposed to spend it on politics, but they do. And then everybody looks the other way. So you have the NGOs working with the foundation. Now you have these mega foundations, the San Francisco Foundation, multi-billion-dollar endowment, the California Foundation, multi-billion-dollar endowment. We had a meeting with the California Foundation head for my nonprofit Neighbors Together Oakland with all the community gardening, all that stuff we do. And we pitched it to her. And the first question she said is, I don't see any base building here. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, what is base building? She said, for the party. And I said, what party? She was like, Democratic Party. And I was like, we're 501c3. We're not political. And he was like, yeah, but like you still could do base building. And I was like, nah, we don't do that. We're independent. No, that was it. She looked at us like we was aliens. Then you have Open Society, George Soros.
Oh, yeah.
You have this complex web of NGOs, and I mean they're very well funded. And then you have the public sector labor unions. Now, remember when I told you public sector labor unions I can only get money from the political action committees? No one's ever audited to see if that money is actually coming from.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's all the mayors. You know, all the whole network behind Karen Bass. That's all those public sector unions, 100%. And it's just like a cycle of money. And also, you know, in this No Kings thing, the person behind this No Kings thing is Randy Weingarten, and isn't she like queen of these? Randy Weingarten's some person who's...
Weingarten is so famous that the union's version of Miranda rights are called Weingarten rights.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it?
I'm not serious. She's the permit. She's made her money. So if you're a union person, the management, you have a right to a union representative if management brings you to a meeting that could lead to discipline.
Oh, I see. That's called the Weingarten rule or something?
Weingarten rule.
Wow. But who is she? Who is Randy Weingarten?
She runs the NEA, the National Education Association, the teachers union.
So she's like queen of the teachers unions.
No
kings, queens. No kings, we do have queens.
Oh, we got a lot of queens. The matriarch is part of it. The matriarchal figure is part of a demoralization plan.
I'm with you on that, man. I'm definitely with you on that.
So it's very interesting. I mean, the emasculation of any men who want to protect their families from harm, which is the natural role of the provider and protector. But not to get too off track. So here's what the unions did. So the U.S. labor movement, in case you don't know, unions are the bargaining representatives, so employees can negotiate a contract that negotiates the terms and conditions of employment with the employer. And the union's job is to negotiate a contract and uphold the contract. That is the job of your union. You have no contract and no union. That's what the strikes are over, getting the contract you want. You need a contract, the union enforces the contract, the union renegotiates the contract when it expires. And so, for years, all the way from the formation, all the way up into the 90s, late 90s, the U.S. labor movement would focus on the representation of their members. It's called the representational model, where the majority of union resources are spent toward high-quality representatives, business agents, or union reps, training the rank and file, and advancing the capacity of the members to better advocate for themselves and get better contracts and better working conditions. Total free market stuff here, private sector especially. I'm not going to get in the conversation. I do not think that public sector should have any unions beyond associations. I'll get to that in a minute. So as the unions became majority public sector through the 80s, after NAFTA and all of that, and cemented in the early 2000s, the unions are now 93% public sector.
Wow,
right?
That's amazing.
And so what happens is now representation is different because those contracts are more, there's civil service code, there's not that much, like it's.
Yeah.
And so unions move. When I started in the U.S. labor movement in the year 1999, I was told unions are moving from a representational model to an organizing model because our membership is dwindling, which it was, and we need to organize more members into the private sector and into the public sector, mostly public sector. But we need to organize more members into the union because we're losing members and prominence. And so it's not enough to just represent our members. We need to go organize more. So public sector labor unions spent gobs of money on hiring organizers like myself. And those were the people who ended up being the advanced soldiers. Everybody, you look at one of these people, they were union organizer most likely for SCIU or AFSCME or California Nurses or somebody. They were, we're good at what we do. We know how to go in and win hearts and minds and create compelling narratives and do narrative control and turn everybody on the boss man and win the contract. So the organizing model became the main thing we did from late 90s all the way to about 2012, 14. 2010. 2010. Solid decade of organizing. Still, total union stuff. Bringing more members. Then came the sneaky part. A huge push to move to what's called, okay, guys, it's not enough that we're organizing now, new members. We need to fight for everybody. We're going to move to a social justice model. Now we're not just fighting for our members, we're fighting for all working families.
So that allows them to like get into politics more, basically.
Unions are the top spenders in politics in California now.
Right.
When I was working for labor unions, the Koch brothers, two private citizens, outspent California public labor unions combined.
Wow! And now
that's how little. Totally different. That's
totally
the influx
reversed.
of money from the CCP. That's the takeover.
Damn.
And so what happened was these union places started working with the when I say commies, here's what everybody, I need you to pay attention if you're watching. It's not. I know it looks like they're trying to do a color revolution. I know it looks like Marxism and all that. It's not. It is, but it's not. Like useful idiots think it is, but the people behind it, they just want power.
Yeah, it's just pure.
They don't
power.
care about the working class owning means of production. They don't care about any of that shit. They care about them. They care about being weirdo rulers. That's why it's super elitist, right?
Yeah.
The same way it usually is. So but that social justice model. So real quick story to illustrate what I mean. At Children's Hospital in Oakland, Berkeley border, I know a nurse who left the union. He was a super steward, super pro-union for nurses, patient care advocate. And they were organizing nurse practitioners, just top-of-the-line nurses. And they've been after nurse practitioners because they're different bargaining unit, because they're different education criteria. They can't be with the normal nurses. You have to actually have a whole nother union for them. So they finally were getting these nurses organized. And they had a big rally to support the nurse practitioners. This is in the summer of 2020. The great awakening. The union organizers showed up to the rally, and they're supposed to bring all the supporting picket signs and all the messaging. 100% of the messaging said Black Lives Matter. And they said, hey, what happened to all the patient care and nurse practitioners?
What happened
to all the signs you're supposed to have? And they said,
That's funny.
that's not as important as what's going on.
Whoa, holy shit. And this has never been audited? Nobody has ever been like this? Can't the feds
No one
audit
has
this
ever
or something?
audited union's political contribution.
What? That is crazy.
Because I have a suspicion that it's not the members aren't paying this money to them. They have like so much money in politics. I don't see members paying this, and it's never dropped off. Even in bad economies, with all like you've seen after Right to Work and the Supreme Court Janus decision, you saw a dip in the union membership percentage because people opted out.
Yeah, right.
But you didn't see. But you saw
there was no corresponding dip in like spending. So you think it's coming from China? You think it's China?
I think it's coming from the globalists, CCP, whatever the fuck. Right?
Wow.
Like Chinese, I think they're putting dark money in these groups, and there's no auditing. There's no way to tell.
And there's no way to actually tell. No, I think you're probably right, dude. I think you're probably right.
You can audit them. Here's how. We need to see every single membership form that says that they gave to COPE. And then we're going to look at how much money you reported from your PAC. And if it doesn't add up, we got you. If it adds up, what it looks like it's fake, we're gonna randomly call these people and ask them are they aware that you signed it.
Yeah.
And I bet you could catch them. Yeah, I could catch them. Give me some money. I'll catch them.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to catch them because we don't have a duopoly. We got a uniparty.
Yeah,
right?
in California, definitely, right? We have a total takeover from this one uniparty. It's very sad. It's very scary. So, what do you make of like how do we solve this? Like, you use this language, these gentry progressive outlets like Oakland Side Media, these kind of like local, supposedly local news organizations that always seem to, support the globalists. How, like the people that you're connected with in Oakland, do they have a sense that they're being lied to? Like, how do we solve this problem on the grassroots level?
Information changes systems.
Okay.
So in organizing, we have a flow chart: educate, agitate, organize. So I have a podcast, Gotham Oakland, where we routinely expose Oakland corruption. It's gotten tens of thousands of views, and some of episodes over 100,000 views exposing corruption. Now, an average person now knows certain things in Oakland. And so you need media. It's a narrative. It's a media war. You also need to organize on the ground and connect the media with a real person who's advocating and asking someone to actually do something to advocate for themselves. And, there's no shortcuts anymore, and there's no magical messages. Also, when it comes to politics, if you're a political operative, and this is free game right now, I should be charging you fuckers. But since I'm nice today, stop the B-roll and voiceovers. Just stop it.
Wait,
None of your media, if you have media assets that has any B-roll or voiceovers, it's whack.
Wait, what does that mean?
Politics, you make videos. Political propaganda is a huge part of any campaign.
Yeah.
Right? Think about the political videos you watch. How many of them are B-roll or voiceover?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's what everybody does. They put a bunch of the stuff on the screen and they have a voiceover and they may spice an interview in. But you're trying to manufacture consent. You're trying to convince someone of something. People don't like that anymore. We are rejecting traditional political propaganda innately.
Yeah,
What
because I
does
think
work
people are waking up to it, right?
They're waking up. And so you need to but there's no shortcut. You actually have to take a camera, go out to where voters are who haven't brushed their teeth or did their hair that day, with stains on their shirt and on their apron, and ask them while they're in a rush to talk about what's going on. And you have to command their presence and have them trust you enough to report that out. And if you do that, like we called the mayor of Oakland, California, and we spent this much money on the campaign.
Yeah. Really?
Right? Yeah.
You just went out there and got signatures.
No, we spent $1 million to get it on the ballot because you have to pay petition gatherers. But the actual GOP campaign, like when you're campaigning, we didn't send a single mailer, we didn't buy any ads.
Yeah.
Straight up earned media and social media.
Yeah. That's cool. What did you think of? I did a whole stream yesterday about these images coming out of these immigration protests. Where it's like this. Did you see the image of the guy who's on the car, and it's like who
hasn't?
Zero body fat, no tattoos, the brand new flag, and you see videos of it, and it's just him. He's not protesting. It's just him on a photo op. He's like this, and there's a ring of like 40 photographers around him. There's no even protesters around him. And it's like, this is like the currency of propaganda, I feel like. It's like these pictures. That's the whole point. Like Saul Alinsky says, the purpose is not the action, it's the reaction. And it's like, that's what they want. They want to get this picture and then have people react to it and like share it.
It works.
Yeah.
A picture says 1,000 words, and a video is a bunch of pictures moving. So you're saying a lot right there. I would say it's backfiring. That's why they immediately switched to guys fly American flags now. Oh,
yeah. I saw that. They said that. Yeah, right.
So a couple of things are happening here, and this is very nuanced conversation. So I'm going to do my best in a few minutes to try to get the first time I've spoken about my perspective on it. I haven't tweeted about it or anything. Um, so let's start with this. A lot of my friends could be deported because their parents brought them here. And DACA was bullshit. We should have been got amnesty. So strike number one for the fucking progressives who didn't just do amnesty and you did that stupid DACA crap instead.
Yeah.
Shame on you. You should have just gave amnesty for all the anchor babies or all the whatever, you know what I mean? All the, not anchor babies, wrong time. For all the kids who their parents dragged in here for no fault of their own. And who are productive citizens. We should have gave them amnesty. More than enough room. We both sides we like our slave labor in America. Okay, let's not bullshit. The Embarcadero programs in the 50s were kept alive because people needed cheap labor. We allow a certain level of immigration to bolster our cheap manufactured labor. It's an unspoken handshake agreement that everybody has agreed to. And I think Joe Kotkin has a great article that came out today about this, by the way, that the left doesn't want. The poor left, they don't want communism. They want capitalism to work for them. Right? Yeah. It's not working for people. So here's what's going on. It's a lot happening. So I'm going to start with the story, and I'll tell the rest of it. I told the story to Davis, and he liked it. And I'll tell you what I mean by the story, because if you think you know what I'm talking about, you're probably wrong. So two old friends that went to college together, a fancy Ivy League school, are in their 50s. They've known each other their whole life. Closest friends. Black guy, white guy. The white guy is a billionaire family. And then they spend a whole day on this white guy's property, 40,000 acres. And they're riding around on dune buggies and shooting wild boar and filling up at private gas stations and drinking, Pappy Van Winkle, smoking expensive Cuban cigars. And at the end of the day, it's just both of them around a campfire. And they're smoking a cigar and talking. And the black guy says to his white friend, "It's one of the best days ever. I never knew that people live like this. Like, you have a whole country. Like, this is all the land as far as the eye can see, and it's all yours. And you do anything you want here. How did you get this?" "Oh, my father has it." "Oh, how did your father get it?" He says, "Probably, well, my grandfather left it to my father." He says, "Oh, man, that's fucking awesome, man. Like, how did your grandfather get it?" And he stands up proudly. He says, "My great-grandfather fought for it." And his best friend of entire life, 30 years, stands up, throws down his glass of whiskey in the fire, looks him in his eye and says, "I'll fight you for it right now."
That's funny.
And so, what's the lesson of that story? Anything taken by force, you may have to protect. Anything taken by force, you're gonna have to protect it eventually.
Sure.
When people get mad at the politicians saying this used to be Mexico, you can get mad, or you can realize that used to be Mexico.
Right.
And you can be honest with the fact that they're trying to take it back. Not Mexico.
Well, that's where I agree with you.
Right? Like,
that's why I agree.
Like, be honest about it. Be honest about it.
Yeah, right. Well, and I think that is the honest perspective. But neither side is honest about that, right?
No.
Like the left is like, it's freedom, and the right is like, well, wait a second. Actually, this is not actually Mexican land. Don't you know how borders work? So it's like both sides are arguing about something that's not the truth, which is just that, they want it back.
They want it back.
That's it. Right.
They look around and everybody's Mexican.
Yeah, and they're like, "Why is this not our shit?"
Like, if somebody says, "Hey, I'll help you take your shit back," or they say, "Sign me up, fuck America." And what you need to do is just be honest about the fact that America's done a lot of fucked up shit, and people, we got ops, we got enemies. Hey, guess what? I live here. We're also done a lot of good shit. But does it matter? If you're the person who got some bad shit done to you, do you care if that person did some nice shit to someone else? No, exactly. Be honest about it, right? We had Iran-Contra. We had things that destabilized. We destabilized democracies, replaced them with dictators and banana republics to benefit the American consumer. What goes around comes around,
but there's something unique about American white people's self-hatred. That's what's different, because it's like, you're right. Like, every other group, it knows this. They're like, the Chinese. You think the Chinese spend 2 seconds ever thinking like, "Oh, does this foreign infiltrator? We're racist." They don't think about that for 1 second. But American white people, they do think that. They think about this all the time, and so it's very weird.
I have a theory on that.
Why?
I want to hear yours first.
Well, I think it's like a double-edged sword. It's like the reason why whites were able to conquer the world is because of this. It's because of that trait. It's because they can like everybody always talks about England conquered India. Do you know that not one time did England invade India? All of those were business transactions. Those were all the UK coming and saying, "Oh, we'd like to do business. How about you give us this piece? Here's a trade. Here's a trade. Here's a trade." And then suddenly the Indians were like, "Wait a second, you guys own the whole place now." And then it's like, then they got to go to war over it. You know? Yeah. And I think that white people like they have this kind of like innate. I know this from my particularly like the waspy sides of my family. They have this innate sense of like they don't want to be nationalistic. They don't want to be like ethnocentric. They kind of want to be like, hey, we're all just doing business together, And I think that that's like the negative side is that they don't have any ethnic pride at all, and that that's kind of bad in the long run.
And it is bad, but we don't have American pride because they've been dividing us, but we also don't do a good job of uniting ourselves. I watched the doc. This is kind of out of place, but it's not. Kind of how my brain works. I'm watching a documentary on Netflix about We Are the World. Watch the We Are the World documentary on Netflix.
We Are the World. Okay.
It's the early 80s. And all you see is white people and black people, and they loving each other's music. We were getting past the worst race relation. In the 80s and 90s, we're very we always got racist and bigots, but as far as the majority of the country, we were liking each other. We were watching each other's programs. The top shows being Cosby Show, not for just black people, but for America, right? Living Color was a top show for America.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan, man, remember Michael Jordan? I mean, Michael Jordan was totally transcendent.
We were starting to get our groove, and then we're like, whoa. So, but anyway, I don't want to get too. Here's the thing. I agree with you. We got to make a decision here. Do you have borders or not?
Right.
Do you have a country who has a different government that you want to protect from other countries' government or not? If so, you need to act accordingly.
Right.
Do you? But here's the problem with Trump, and this is why. And I talked about Snowpiercer. I've been on theme. If you've been watching my podcast lately, and you're like, Seneca said the same thing all week.
No, it's fine. I do that all the time.
Watch some from a few months ago because that's what I'm on right now. The fucking movie Snowpiercer.
Yeah, I've seen it. Korean, right? The Korean. Oh, wait, no, it's Korean.
It's Korean. It's Korean.
Yeah.
Korean director. Remember the guy at the back of the train? The guy at the back of the train, his limbs was cut off, but he was they were a uniparty. The train was a uniparty.
All right, that's a good movie. I like Snowpiercer. That's good. It's like Tilda Swinton, right? Isn't it? And some people. No. Anyway, wait, but what's the allegory there?
Well, the guy at the back of the train who sets the revolutionary off. So just so you know, Snowpiercer. I'm gonna be real quick. Is a train, and the world has ended, and the last people alive on Earth are in this train. And the train is built by the super genius guy who made like Elon Musk. Who made a train and train tracks over the ocean and everything, and it goes around the world, and it goes around the world to avoid the worst weather. And
it has to keep going for some reason. It has to keep going, or else something happens.
It doesn't stop.
It has to. It has to go, or else they die for something.
Or they die. The train has to go, or they die. Perpetual motion. It's super advanced scientific stuff. They grow the food. Everything works. It works. Don't worry about how it works. It works. Whatever tickets you bought when the world ended is your caste system.
Oh, right. Yeah, right.
To the back of the train, the middle, and the front. You have an elite, middle class, and the poors. The poors literally eat bugs. It showed that. They eat protein bars, right? So, and the movie starts with this old guy who has one limb left. He's got 3 limbs cut off. And he's talking to the young guy. He gets a secret message, and he says, okay, my secret source from the front of the train is telling me it's time to revolt. We're going to do it. Are you ready? And the young guy, who he's been grooming to do the revolt, is like, I'm ready, sir. And then they come in, and they punish somebody by putting his limb out the window, and it freezes, and they knock it off, letting you know that anyone without limbs are people who were punished for insubordination.
Oh, right. Yeah, right.
So you now know that the main old guy has been punished 3 times for insubordination. You should be without question on your side, right? And so he gives the young person this message and says, you guys go fight the war, it's time. And they do. And they get all the way to the front of the train. And when he gets to the front of the train, the guy said, because they capture him, he's in the front, the main hero is in the front with the leader of the train under gunpoint. Did they capture him? He says, you weren't supposed to get this far, but I want to talk to you because you're special. And he tells them, the train is perfectly constructed, including our population. And every once in a while, we have to thin out the herd because we're overpopulated, and we stage a revolution.
Yeah.
And in the revolution, people die, and we fix the population.
Yeah.
And you weren't supposed to get this far, but it's okay. We're going to fix it. I want you to be the new leader of the train. I'm getting old. I want you to take my place. I want you to know the guy that you thought was your friend was my friend. And I'm the one who was giving him the messages. And he proves it. And he says, see these messages? I'm the one sending it to him. Who else?
Yeah.
It's the lesson of the story. Because he trusted that guy so much, because he had shown he was willing to sacrifice for their side, he never questioned this. Who's that message from? He went and risked his life over a message from somebody who he trusted without even confirming that this imaginary source was real. And that call to action from controlled opposition is an allegory. And so the people hearing the call to action who are defending their families, the people who are hearing the call to action to defend the no promise. I have no promise. AI is going to replace us. I'm in college right now. I can't get a job. The social contract is broken. You're telling me I can pull myself up from my bootstraps, but I actually can't. And I'm very scared right now that I'm not going to be able to eat, or I'm not going to be able to pay for medicine. If you've ever been poor, then you understand. I've been poor. Those people are going to be radicalized. And someone like myself, if I wanted to be a bad guy, you know where I got that story from? That story about the campfire is a story I reserve if I ever have to lead people in the battle to kill somebody. And I've tried that story out on young men, and they were ready to run through a brick wall. If I would have pointed someone out and said, kill him, they would have did it. Take the land back. Take the land back. Fight them for it right now. They'll do it. Yeah. And that is the power in a narrative. And I think that people need to be very careful about people who are skilled at narrative control.
Right.
So how do we fix it? We play the game, baby.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You hire people like us. You hire people like us. But we have the truth. But just because you have the truth on your side doesn't mean that you don't have to be creative.
Well,
you
right.
Have to be creative and artistic.
Well, right. I mean, and that's our big advantage. And that's why it's like we actually have to do less, but you do still have to finesse it. You still got to finesse it. And that's what I think, I did this podcast exactly on this yesterday, and I had like people by the end of it because I was breaking down the propaganda images, and they were like, where is this stuff coming from the other side? Like, why do these NGOs have this locked down so well? And where is it? I mean, of course, they're asking me, where is it on the right? But it's the same thing with you. It's not really about right and left. It's about where are the people who actually care about the communities and care about not being controlled like the people on the train to, self-destruct. Like where's the people who actually stand for the actual real people? Where's the propaganda from them? And that's like our job is to create that stuff, man. I totally
Where is the
agree.
propaganda from us, the people?
Yeah,
right?
where's like the people, right, the real people's propaganda. Again, it starts to get fuzzy because as soon as you start saying people's propaganda, then you got the No Kings NGO movement coming in and be like, we're for the people. And you're like, you're not, but you have hijacked those words and now I can't say them because you say them,
Well,
so that's a problem.
You have to find new words.
Yeah, you got to find new words and better words. That's right.
Like neighbors.
Right.
Bring back neighbors. That's why I use neighbors, because if you told me, I'm not trying to start a new political party, but if I was to start a new political party, it would be, the way I would do it was start a neighbor party locally. I would go to a place.
Yeah.
I would run for school boards, city council. I would win the re-elections, and then I would go up the ladder. And I would start an independent neighbor party, and it's the neighbors, and our color would be green.
Right.
Like a
It's
forest
actually,
plan.
it's true. It's like localism versus globalism. That really is what it is.
And then it grow, and it will
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, maybe it will happen one day, maybe it won't. Maybe the sun will throw up and we'll all be in the Stone Ages. Who the fuck knows? But while we're here with the power running, get involved right now. If you're on the sidelines, you have to get involved for locally doing something, even if it's just local preparedness for your community. And the most, my friend Colonel Chris from the Army, who was a super preparedness guy, if you go in the wagon box, you'll meet him. Chris says the most important place for preparedness is your dining room table.
Yeah.
To talk to your neighbors and congregate, because you're the ones who are going to keep each other safe, or you're the ones who are going to be knocking on your door to take what you have.
Right.
In the time of direct. So you need to invest in your community. You need to grow food, have community livestock. You can do this anywhere in America. And that is a revolutionary act itself, of knocking on your neighbor's door and finding a place to grow food and building these thriving third spaces, not to replace the food stuff, but like just to put life on the ground and know that you can create things and bring people together. It's a happy place to end the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you had the vision, so people have to be true to that vision. Have you heard of Ron Finley? Ron Finley? He's this L.A. urban gardener guy.
He's like
I
know Ron.
Yeah. He's a big thing.
Ghetto gardener. I know.
Yeah,
him.
ghetto gardener. Okay. Well, dude, thank you so much, man. Really, really great chatting with you. Yeah, let's keep talking, man. This was a great combo. And I love the stuff you're posting all the time. I'm totally on the same page. So keep it up. And you have my full support.
Thank you. And hopefully that makes sense to people trying to figure out what do I think about all the actions. It's complicated. Like, I support it and I don't.
Yeah. Well, I think
right?
I think there's just not a name for your perspective yet. I think it's like localism maybe, but people don't like that word for some reason. But I share that same perspective. It's like kind of vaguely libertarian, but you don't want to say that either. So I feel like there's just not quite a word for it yet. But this doomer optimism thing, I feel like they're pretty close to it. It's like this place at the end of the horseshoe where it's like no bullshit, care about your neighbor, care about like real food. And don't get involved in this globalist, disgusting, crap. Then that's how I feel also.
Maybe we're not supposed to know everybody's problems in the world. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to accept that every one of us has an empath inside of us, and not free of any generational trauma that we know now is inherited through our mitochondria, scientifically and religiously, whatever angle you want to take, it's been proven we inherit that trauma from parents. Why would you want to know everybody in the world who has problems? This world is full of suffering. Do you really need to know who's suffering 10,000 miles away?
Right. And we're so addicted.
What benefit is that? We can't stop it.
And we're addicted to it. It's like, 10,000 dead in Thailand. I need to know about it. I need to know. And it's like, you shouldn't know. You shouldn't know.
You shouldn't know.
Right.
Take your place if your neighbor has a goiter.
Yeah, exactly. Which is more important. It really is true.
I think so.
All right, dude. Thank you so much. This was really great. We'll be in touch soon. Appreciate it. Peace.